So, what is family constellations? Essentially, it's a group therapy modality pioneered by a German um, psychologist, I believe, or a therapist, also a priest. I'm not sure if he was a psychologist. I'm not much for biographies and gurus because the work takes on a life of itself, and that's what truly matters to me. But if you are interested, you can look up Bert Hellinger. Certainly unique figure. And what this is that as people gather for a workshop, you will sit in a circle, which is called the holding circle, and the client will come sit in the client's chair next to the facilitator, and so the constellation begins. It starts with a short interview where the facilitator gets into a state of rapport with the client, trying to get a better sense for the issue that the client is bringing, which can range from anything really surface level, so to speak, which could be financial issues, relationships, um, anything really, all the way down to more abstract or emotional, let's say. So I'm working with rage or deep grief that's proven difficult for the client to sit with or to shift or to hold or to liberate in a sense, because all of this work at its very core is about seeing what's already there in the field and disentangling the stagnant and stuck energies that are in our field. And by our, I mean either personal, on a family level, so in our family soul, or even on a collective global level as us humans, humanity, and anything between there can be constellated. And what's magical is that then we get a living map of that on the floor, because as the constellation goes on, the facilitator will pick people together with the client from the holding circle to step in as representatives. And so you might be picked to represent the client's mother or uncle or a great granddad who died in the war. It can be something more abstract as well, such as the war itself, or an emotion, a stuck grief. And as these things come through us, because that is something that's important to mention, that what constellations is not, it's not psychodrama. We do not reenact, we do not direct. It is not up to the facilitator um, to move or script the constellation in any way whatsoever. We are completely surrendered to the divine intelligence of the group field. And so as we step into representation and clear ourselves of any idea of what is supposed to happen, something begins to come through. And we indeed start to feel whatever client's mother um, is feeling. We start to really get in touch with that deep grief. We start to experience, as weird as it sounds, what it is to represent war, what it is to represent famine, or a broken contract, injustice, rage, loneliness, financial issues, abundance, scarcity, you name it. It is a fascinating experience because it really is felt. It's somatically experienced in our bodies. And there are many stories. If you ask somebody who's ever been to a workshop, there are countless stories of people, even skeptics, that cannot feel skeptical anymore after the first constellation or representation. As you step in, and you might even kind of call a little bit BS in the whole thing. Maybe you're very skeptical of this woo-woo stuff, and then you step in completely clear-headed, and suddenly you feel a pain in your hip, or a massive throbbing headache, or a murderous rage, whereas a second ago you were cool like a cucumber. And so these things come from the field. They come from the collective consciousness that we co-create as we meet in this circle with that clear intent to be of support to the client system. And the beauty of that is that we're not only in support of the client and his or her system, we're actually receiving many gifts ourselves through being part of the circle or representing, and also being the facilitator certainly is rich of those gifts as well. Because as we step into those things, nothing seems random, even though it might seem that way. But if you kind of have the eyes to see it, you notice that these patterns that are at play within a constellation start to deeply resonate with your own system. It's almost like the pitch. It's like a pitch is wrong. There's a frequency that is brought in, one or many more. Usually, there are many parts that come in during a constellation. So usually, it's a cacophony. Really, it's an orchestra of different frequencies. It's a chord, and sort of like if you imagine a glass, and if you ring a tuning fork, if you play the right frequency or through a speaker, at the right frequency, the natural frequency of the material that the glass cup is made of, you can actually break the glass. I don't know if you have ever seen that. There are videos of that. You can break a glass at a distance. Um, that's how powerful it is. You can break windows. And that's my experience of what happens in a constellation, that as those parts are touched and as they come in, the tone, the frequency hits our own systems, and similar content comes up to the surface to be liberated. It's coming up for healing just right there in the moment. And so even though we're being part of somebody else's constellation, we're actually working our own system simultaneously. And that is the mind-blowing intelligence of the field. It is completely beyond our linear mind how this actually could unfold, that complete strangers, the perfect strangers, gather to do work on a client's constellation. And what arises as part of that field is deeply healing and deeply relevant and so intimate, so resonant to each and every person there, as long as they have the eyes and the ears, let's say the ears to hear it. And even if it's not immediately clear, usually people do report, and this has certainly been my own experience. Down the line, these insights clarify and come, and we notice the ripple effect of the work. Whether we have done a personal constellation ourselves or been part of somebody else's constellations, the gifts, the richness of this work is just really palpable. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, and if you have, please drop a comment. Let us know how it was for you to attend the workshop. If you haven't, look it up. This work is spreading currently like wildfire. So odds are that if you live close to any major, larger city, there's probably a constellator nearby that runs workshops. So I would really encourage you to experience the magic for yourself. There's plenty of online constellations taking place as well. Just I encourage you to Google, or that's something that I do. So if you're interested in my work, just check out my website, come to the next constellation. And if you have any more questions, please leave them below and I'll be happy to answer. Since, as you can tell, I'm coming back to this work after a bit of a sabbatical, I suppose you could say. And since my original training, I've done a bunch of other work and experimented with other modalities, and I've gotten into a bunch of energy work as well. And now I'm coming back to constellations a little bit with fresh eyes and getting amazed at it yet again. It's like falling in love with it all over again, but from a different perspective and a different depth and understanding. So happy to explore together, and let me know whatever else you would like to share in the comments below. See you in the next video.